Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crash Course History. I'm Melissa Gwynn.
I'm Cora Beaver.
And I'm Isabella Johnson.
Also, Ken. He is our editor and director. Today, we will be talking about the Aztecs and how it was like when they were alive.
In today's episode of Crash Course History, we'll be talking about the Aztecs' life, their contact with the Spanish, what they did, and all that fun stuff. But our main question is, how could contrasting worldviews from the Spanish and the Aztecs influence their actions or initiate conflict? Well, the simple answer is, I don't really know. But let's dive deeper into this.
The Aztecs existed between 1325 and 1521, before they were conquered by the Spanish. So imagine that you are an Aztec who's very loyal to your gods, and you might be kind of scared of them destroying the world. So when you are told your people will settle wherever you see an eagle eating a snake on a cactus, you don't question it. Amazingly, you actually managed to find it and turn this horrible island into a suitable one for your whole group of people. And you sacrifice multiple people every day to please the gods. Now, fast forward many years later. You have a thriving population with chinampas and aqueducts, and the gods are pleased. Then some foreign people come and get into a war with you. The Spanish. You fight your heart out, but inevitably, your people lose. Your people are taken over by the Spanish, and slowly your culture fades and merges with the Spanish, leaving only a fraction of your culture. Bye-bye, Aztecs!
Now going back to our guiding question, how could contrasting worldviews from the Spaniards and Aztecs influence their actions or create conflict? With the first worldview being beliefs.
The Aztecs or Mexica had a very religious worldview, leaning towards warlike barbaric ideas and what they did in their daily lives. The Aztecs left slaves alive to sacrifice their hearts to the gods, and it is a thought that the Aztecs priest would then eat the hearts to symbolize their connection to the gods. The Aztecs believed that there were certain ways a person would go to heaven depending on how they died. The Aztecs did not believe they were meant to conquer the world. However, their religious beliefs and practices played a significant role in their expansionist policies. Spaniards had a very similar worldview, but toward Christianity, setting out to bring God glory and gold in the name of Spain, thus meaning the Aztecs and Spaniards had similar ideas towards how they should bring glory to their god. The Aztecs believed that one of their gods would return around the same time as Herman Cortez did, and they were described the same. This directly clashed with the Aztecs' belief and is the reason that the Aztecs didn't immediately kill Hernan Cortez due to their warmongering beliefs.
Wow, the Aztecs really believed killing was the answer. They also valued their religion. Bringing us to our values worldview element.
The Aztecs and the Spaniards both had different values. This created conflict between them. A value that created conflict between the Aztecs and Spaniards was religion. The Aztecs valued their religion and deeply focused on this. Meanwhile, the Spaniards were Christian Catholic. They believed in one God and saw the differences between good and evil. Another value that affected conflict was their meanings and purposes of life. The Aztecs served multiple gods, were focused on human sacrifices, and keeping tradition was important. The Spaniards had one god, focused on spreading religion and building the Spanish Empire. The Aztecs also valued power. This meant having a high social status. They achieved this by taking over other people and places. Because of this value, they created many enemies around them. This gave Spanish an advantage.
Along with valuing their gods and religion, they also valued their brains. Bring us to our knowledge worldview element.
The Mexica had developed lots of different technology on Tenochtitlan, such as chinampas to farm enough food for the whole population, aqueducts to bring fresh water to drink, and a big market that could hold the whole population of Tenochtitlan. They also filled a lot of their knowledge in these books called codices. They built all this just to settle on the swampy island of Tenochtitlan, just because they wanted to please the gods. On the other hand, the Europeans had developed gunpowder, large ships, and great military strategies. The Spanish also had the help of indigenous peoples that helped them conquer Tenochtitlan. Once the Spanish took over, they ignored the Aztec technology, even burning some codices, allowing it to be forgotten. The Aztec created all this technology just for it to be stripped away from them. They didn't just lose their home, they lost a part of their identity.
Also part of the Aztec identity, the role in society. Bring us to our society worldview element.
The Aztecs had a very reliable hierarchy, with equal chances for social mobility. Their social rankings went as so. The emperor was on top. They were treated like a god and could be found mostly in their palace, unlike Moctezuma II, who was known to bathe multiple times a day, once even holding court while in his tub. One level below was the Pilpitin. This included elite soldiers, high priests, and government workers. The Pilpitin attended the Kalmyk schools, which prepared them for noble roles in society. Next are the merchants, soldiers, and artisans. The artisans made bowls used to collect water. The soldiers fought for the Aztecs, collecting sacrifices, and the merchants traded goods and collected intel. Farmers, fishers, and women were lower class. Fishers and farmers would sell crops and catch eggs, also providing for the homeless, while most women managed their homes. Below them were the slaves, a result of prolonged debt. But retributive justice allowed escape. When the Spaniards conquered, they created a new hierarchy. Spanish crown at the top, followed by the governor/viceroy, then the Spanish conquistador and settlers, and at the bottom, the Aztecs. This allowed no social mobility for the Aztecs. I smell favoritism! The Spanish worldview made them believe that since it was now their land, it is their people, therefore making the Aztecs their slaves. It remained unchanged until the Dominican friar Bartolomé de las Casas wrote to the king in defense of the Aztecs. His letter demolished slavery, merging the two societies together, creating a new unique culture.
Now, there are many interesting artifacts from the Aztecs, and there are also many artifacts that help us understand more about the Aztecs. An artifact we found interesting was the Codex Mendoza. The Codex Mendoza was basically a book that had important information about the Aztecs. It shows their daily lives, sacrificial ceremonies, and history about rulers and conquests. Another way to put this is that it was an Aztec manuscript. It was created in 1542 to update the Spanish and the Aztecs. We think this object should be repatriated because it helps us understand more about the Aztecs and how their life was. So, now that we've looked over all of these aspects, it's clear that the contrasting worldviews of Spanish and Aztecs deeply influenced their actions and ultimately led to conflict. From religious beliefs and values to technology, social structure, and identity, each culture saw the world through completely different lenses. These differences weren't just results of cultural practices. They shaped decisions, justified conquests, and even determined who lived and who died. And while the Aztec Empire may have fallen, its legacy lives on through stories, artifacts, and blended culture that live on to this day. Understanding these worldviews doesn't just help us learn about the past. It also reminds us how important it is to respect and try to understand the culture of others in our world. Thank you.